This is Kick-Ass Love. I'm Tina Overbury, and this is episode 5. We're doing something different here. We're writing a book, his book, live, right here on this podcast. And the book we're writing, it's about what it really takes to come back from hell and build a life that doesn't just work, it means something. I'm a story coach and a brand new expressive arts therapist. For the last 10 years, I've helped people write, author, and publish their books. The people I work with have big stories, and Trevor's is just that. So meet my co-host and the guy at the heart of this story, Trevor Castile. In a world where men are taught to man up and stay silent, Castile is speaking openly about sexual abuse, trauma. His story challenges the idea that vulnerability is weakness and offers an alternative. Truth-telling is kick-ass love. What happens when an expressive arts therapist from Bowen Island helps a northern construction guy to write his book?
And you know what's very cool too is from a trauma standpoint that, you know, especially when you start looking in the American Psychological Association definition of complex trauma or developmental trauma disorder, is the ways that I was changed physiologically. And so what I mean by that is that my emotional growth was stunted or stopped.
Mm.
And so I'm customized. I'm a customized package because I got still some 13-year-old little emotions going on when I'm talking to people, yet I'm 56 years old. So I'm kind of special.
I
Yeah.
got a
I'm
13-year-old
yeah, got a
ready to roll
13-year-old
here.
little emotions going on. Yeah. So, you know, like that's why you see Trevi all huggy and shit too, you know. It's because that shit's trapped from 13. So but you know, now it's an asset instead of a liability because it helps to connect and be real with kids or be real with adults or bring back the adults to the kid, you know. So it's a blessing to have this unique package,
It is.
you know.
Oh, it's a
So
beautiful way of looking at it too, Trevor. All of
it
our
really
listeners,
is. You
you
know, the
know,
different regulation, my regulation of things is off in so many different areas. So I have to readjust my regulation, inner regulations with anger, with anything else. And so it's the same thing. It's just all those adjustments to me physiologically that I need to address or at least know that's there now and I can't do anything about it, but to make it an asset.
nice.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, where do you want to go today? This is episode 5.
Yeah. We're just
We
shooting the shit here at the beginning. Yeah.
are. Now, we last
Mhm.
left off that you were going to read some pieces. And is
Mhm.
that how you feel today? Is that what you want to do today? Or you feel like doing something else? Like, where are you at?
Gosh, I mean, the poor people have strung along here with the RCMP statement for the last 2 episodes, and even you. You know, are we ever going to read the damn thing? We'll be into season 2 before we do. No.
You know what,
Um,
though? What's great about this, it's your journey, and you are in
yeah.
charge of your healing journey. You're in charge of your story. And again, this goes out to our listeners, and whatever experience you may have had, you are in the driver's seat.
Wild.
And you always get to decide when you say the thing, if you say the thing, and how you say the thing.
Yeah. What a wild show. Yeah. Thank you. I
Mm.
love that. Yeah. And you're bang on, Tina. Um, so yeah, we'll just follow the heart and the gut here and just continue. I had 10 things. I think I finished off probably 7 out of the 10 last time before I actually started into the to it. Um, what I wanted to start off with, though, I have customized again. Surprise, surprise. Uh, Trip's customized agenda for today. uh, so here we go with the start that I'm thinking here, and these are actually the 5 bullets that I was talking about before for people because when I started about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you know, with the bankruptcy of Castile Construction, instead of restructuring it and then starting to really dig into myself and the root causes and everything. I reached out to the mental health and addictions with the Department of Health here in the government of the Northwest Territories and the manager and staff there. And so in consulting with them and kind of getting some feedback and stuff like that, what came up and it's been a growth or experience over this last 2 years of digging and working on myself and doing things. um, is my interaction with people and how I can be better with my interaction of people, hence doing this podcast. And that, before I wouldn't even be able to see myself, as I maybe spoke about before, where I would be telling my story, but my story would be hurting others. And I
Mm.
didn't even see it because I just needed to get my shit out because my purpose was to help people. And so I'm blindly and just rattling off my story quickly without knowing what their story is, and affecting people in different ways. But maybe some are none are affected, maybe some are, like, and not knowing. So, but I know now that I've definitely hurt people in the past with my shit that way. And so I wanted to try to get some insight to have like guidelines for me of how to be better with people, for reminders for me, so when I am delivering, that I'm delivering thoughtfully. So this helped set me up. So the 5 bullets basically are, like anything in life, number one, like anything in life, people experience trauma and harm in different ways and heal in different ways. One person's experience may be different than another's, despite some similarities. And how a person is healing also looks different than another person's approach or experience of healing. There is no one way, one pathway, or one approach. That's why a variety of options and supports, formal and informal, are important. So when I talk about previous episodes about everybody's got their own custom journey, that's exactly what that's speaking to. So it's understanding and respecting that. So blurbing out my shit may not be helpful at all. The hell, it might even be harmful for somebody else. So and I think humility is present in this process.
We want you to know the content shared on the Kick-Ass Love podcast is based on Trev's personal lived experience. These are his reflections on healing, accountability, and transformation. He is not a licensed psychologist or therapist, and I am finishing up my diploma as an expressive arts therapist. I am the space holder for these conversations. The information and opinions expressed are not intended to diagnose, treat, or offer medical or psychological advice, and this podcast is not a substitute for professional support. If you are experiencing mental health challenges or require clinical care, please seek help from a qualified healthcare provider or licensed therapist in your area. Call 811 for a helpline responder, and if things are particularly dark in this moment, call 988 from anywhere in Canada to reach the Suicide Crisis Helpline. Your journey is valid, and you don't have to do it alone. So can you just back up? So, thank you for reading it. Can you help me hear it in Trev speak? Like
And
basically
Trev's,
saying, yeah.
yeah, and Trust Speak, like I said, the summary of it is the first bullet, or the first point is everybody's got a custom journey and heals in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And so your story or my story is not the be end all of everything. And it's the big special story that's just going to cure everything, which I felt before.
Right.
And I
And so,
had to help people. Right.
right.
So,
And so you were saying that you created this list as a way to support you in recognizing, how to be with people. So how did this inform you?
well, because going into it now, so if I'm going to talk to kids, or I'm going to talk to inmates, or I'm going to talk to anybody, or even on this podcast, having it implanted in my head now that everybody's journey is different from mine, gives me a mindset in my presentation and my preparation and my delivery, that, and I think it's more of a humble approach, a calmer approach, and not like an all-knowing approach, which I didn't do in a jerkish way or a bullyish way. I just did it blindly because I didn't know any better, in my spirit of helping people.
Hmm.
The other ones are if you're good. The
Yep.
other ones are fairly straightforward and simple. And without getting into the full readings of them, I'll just kind of summarize them. So the second one is that healing is usually not linear. So healing's up and down. I think we talked about that in the last episode. You're going to have some. So, it's like an alcoholic. You know, very few and far between that are going to, or I don't know what the ratio is, but you know, you're going to slip and fall and maybe grab a drink again. You know, but how many people get on the bike and then they ride it perfectly the first time? So healing is the same thing. You're going to fall off the damn bike. You're going to scrape your knees. But then the main thing is that you just keep getting back on the bike. And what the hell is that? That's the suffering plus courage equals resiliency formula. That's the resiliency, getting back on the bike because you're going to go for your goal. And your goal is to be able to ride that bike without training wheels and keep going. Right? So healing is up and down, falling off the bike, getting back up, falling off the bike, getting back up.
Awesome.
Um,
I love it.
Knowledge is power.
Mm.
Knowledge is power. So that's why I love digging too, because then I get more power because I get more understanding and then I get more peace. So knowledge is power. That's wonderful.
Okay, you need to say more about this one because what does knowledge to you mean? Because it might mean different things to different people. What does it mean to you? What has it been for you?
Well, it's this, Tina. I mean, sure, good question. It's this, but it's just um it's digging deeper within myself to understand myself better.
So self-knowledge.
Self knowledge. Oh my goodness, yes. But self knowledge, I get external knowledge when I dig internally. I
Say
get
more.
both. I get
Yeah,
both at the
say
same time. So as I dig internally to understand myself better and understand my unconscious, especially because that's the hidden area and it's much more vast than the conscious. So as I dig into especially my unconscious, which has had a huge impact on me all my life, and as I seek that, I'm automatically reaching out externally for knowledge to understand my internal digging path. So I benefit on both ways. If I'm just seeking external knowledge all the time, then all I'm doing is filling up what I'm going to read about is that what is that eulogy resume versus the um, skills resume or whatever, where your external world you're worried about your resume versus the internal resume, right? And the world right now is so focused on the external resume versus the internal resume. So, and again, another reason that I picked not having the company anymore and investigating myself to friggin' figure myself out finally for the last time with this bullshit is that when there is a eulogy for me, I want people to remember me for a deeper, more meaningful cause or as a beautiful person rather than a person with material assets
and I
that's
think
done well.
the other
And
piece.
and 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 I think to finish that off, I think both can happen at the same time. It's not saying they can't. They can, but I think the deeper and more in tune I am, the the more profitability I have internally, and if I have more profitability internally, now I got more to work with to be profitable externally.
I love that you've used the word profit on your internal world and your external world. That's a really
Hmm.
cool thing to do, and it's a really interesting perspective to play with. And I think you've
And the
also
margins are better too between the cost benefit. You got a cost benefit analysis, right? So the margins are even better. So you have a better markup because you're understanding things better. So now you're getting more profit as you go along as well on each thing you do because
um,
it's more meaningful.
what I love about this analogy as well is, you've got the you've got one storyline, which is really a business storyline, which you know how to do. And so we're looking at cost benefit and all of that. And like
Hmm.
it's like a business plan. I also love that you have laid in, I'm not sure what to call this. It's almost like the humility storyline, which is as I look external, I must look internal.
Hmm.
And then the third piece that you haven't named, but I think you're pointing at anyway, which is the purpose of this podcast, which is the healing journey. That we know that
Hmm.
the answer is always in here. The answer is never out there. And yet,
Hmm.
the out there part is I live in a world with other people. I live in structures. I live in a system that is the external. And so I need to look inside to be with the outside. And there is a healing journey there. And I do think that different people have different ways in to their own healing. Some people have to start from the external before they can go internal. Other people
Totally.
internal.
That's that's part of that custom journey. So
Mhm.
everybody's going to have the final trigger or whatever it's going to be. Not necessarily trigger. That's not the right word, but everybody's going to have that, their own custom little benchmark or breaking point that's going to make them, or they it's a deciding point for them to jump into it or to not, or to tackle it or not, or whatever that is. But I just want to highlight here what's really important too, because it's one of the daily self-awareness factors, and we haven't even really touched on those daily self-awareness factors that I've made for myself, that I have to monitor myself every day, because I have to check myself every day, because he changed so much in my shit inside me, with my the way I regulate myself, that was developing as a teenager, and my emotional development, all of it that we talked about. So, it's analyzing myself, as I said, with the inside. And I think in the episode 3, where I was talking towards the end about the traffic and how people are being dinks out there with the way that they're driving, yet I can see that easily now and understand the level of impatience out there right now, and kindness and gratitude. I mean, all of that's decreasing. Personal accountability is decreasing as well. And we talked about how personal accountability is actually kick-ass part of kick-ass love. So it's actually personal accountability plus love. That's why you have kick-ass. And but one of the daily self-awareness factors that I have is communication, and communication internally and externally. And how am I doing there? And is it positive or negative? And I think, what I'd really like to highlight with this is the way the world seems to be going. And again, I emphasize that I analyze myself internally before I offer this externally right now. So everything I'm about to describe is exactly what's happened in me. So the way that I see the world going right now is that communication internally is becoming poorer and poorer for us. The reflection internally is not happening to the level that it used to or it should. Because why? Because there is increased distractions, there is increased tasks, there is increased speeds, there is increased costs, there is increased all kinds of different things. And so how a human at its a human being at our optimal efficiency is when we're calm. The world is not going calm, it's going more chaos. So again, where do you think the freaking chaos and the conflict comes from? Well, Jesus, again, I describe it's the same formula inside me, is what I'm seeing out there. So it's almost like we're being programmed unconsciously, um, to be to move away more and more away from communicating with ourselves. And our communications with each other externally are even becoming poorer. So the way to get things better for myself inside myself, as well as better for myself outside myself for communication, is by concentrating on the communication and doing that better. So I have to remove the distractions in order to, I need to simplify my life. And the better that I communicate with myself, again, the the more simple my life becomes and the calmer it becomes and the better my communications are externally. So I think that's a huge, huge factor today. And poor kids these days and teenagers and stuff growing up is they're in an environment and they, kind of like I was, and I didn't even know. And they're in an environment where it's just conflict and chaos all around you. And they're the ones in the arena, and they're fighting a warrior that they can't see as well. Poor kids.
So
So
that's number three.
yeah, so knowledge is power was number three. The fourth one is our physical bodies need love and care too.
Yes, ding, 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 ring that bell. Yes.
So put away the fucking phone and go out for a fucking walk.
Can you say that a
I'm
bit more
not trying.
plainly?
I'm not trying to be a dink here, but sometimes you need shock to wake up. And I certainly need shock a lot in my life. I'm not saying the phone is bad. I'm not going on a big rampage about phones right now, so we can just stop right there. I was trying to shock you with the F bombs. Hopefully, I got your attention. Okay? So, and my friends out there, and Tina. Okay? So, friends, we just finished talking about calm. The likes on a phone are not going to lift your soul and your spirit. I when I just breathe and I go out for a walk or I do things where I'm not distracted and where my heart is pointing me to do, I can't tell you the level of peace and healthiness that I feel. So our physical bodies need love and care too. If you need to tend to that, just like probably the amount of effort that you put into all the different things that you do day to day. You need to focus on you because you're the source of everything else externally, and your body's part of that. So love up your body too. And I don't get funky with what I just said, but you know what I mean. Be kind to your body. There we go. And then the last one here is sometimes it can be overwhelming to look at a list of things we need to do to help ourselves or heal ourselves. So, and sometimes you just need a friend. And again, as Simon Sinek says, he says, sometimes we just need somebody to sit in the mud with us, just to shut up. I don't know if he says that part, but basically just being there is so much more than words. And I think for a lot of us, silence is uncomfortable. Yet silence is where the gold is. And uncomfortable is where the courage is. So silence is actually your friend, not your enemy. So it's just do something with that silence. Pen to paper, whatever it is, but just do something with that silence. Go where your heart is pointing you. If you just need to be silent and just not think of anything, then don't do that. Empty your skull, but you're not going to empty your skull with your damn phone right there going bing, 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 bing. Hopefully you're getting the idea. So
Well,
those things, those bullets have really, really helped me
I want to go
to
back
to better think about healing.
number
Go ahead.
five so I can just get it clear. Number five, I heard I heard two really key pieces, and I think they're part of the same narrative, but I just want to make
Mhm.
sure I'm getting it right. It's around sometimes you need a friend. And am I hearing it right? Sometimes silence is your friend. Is that where we're going?
Yes. Oh, it is.
Mhm.
So when I started out 2 years ago, I came up with the title and I used it at my first talk. Um, it's time for silence to suffer. So at this point, and I wrote a letter of silence. I don't know if you have a copy of that, but I wrote a letter of silence. It was a pretty powerful letter, and it was my enemy. And now you little dink, it's time for you to suffer. Okay, but then now what I'm finding as I'm going along these months is that silence is now my friend, and I love silence. And if you go and research and you look at things, I think you'll find that the wisest people in the world over time have been the ones that have lived in solitude. I mean, I'm just saying that off a blanket statement here, so don't, I don't want to get people arguments and arrows and stuff like that, but I mean, it makes sense. Can't we concentrate better when we're in the quiet? So, yeah, yeah. So we're a totally different tool or machine than the phone or a laptop or anything else, right? We function differently. We have to be maintained differently. Sometimes our screen's going to break. Sometimes we're going to have somebody trying to hack in. you know but then what do we do? Do we find the virus and do we delete it, or we just keep the virus and keep adding more viruses? you know so what you need to do is build up a, what do you call those things, those anti-spam things or whatever. Get a good wall protector or whatever for yourself to prevent
Firewall.
viruses coming in. Yeah, firewall.
Firewall for your
You're
life.
building a firewall for yourself. Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. So I just want to hit something if we're good. We're
Yeah.
kind of talking along these lines, so I just want to this is what I was talking about before, is David Brooks in The Road to Character.
Oh my God. I have this
Okay.
book. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite books. Do you know that?
Isn't, oh no, no, no.
It's one of my favorite books.
I can't believe this guy, man. He's brilliant. He
Yes,
really
I
is. And
read it.
he's so thoughtful, he's so calm.
Do I have it right
So,
here? I just want to see if I've got it right beside me. Because it is
yeah.
totally, Trevor, like one
Oh
of
boy. Hey, look at that. We got Tina excited. Woohoo.
no, it's downstairs. It's my
Okay.
downstairs bookshelf. The Road to
Well,
Character. Do you have it in front of you?
yes,
The
ma'am. That's
red
what
and
I'm going to
white
read.
cover? Let's see
Yeah.
it. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love the book.
See, hey, so we're on to something here. So here, let me read this. It's on page well, it's just at the beginning here. I don't even know how you mark these things. Roman numerals 8. Okay. So it's the shrewd animal. And there's lots of passages here where I just want to read so much for you, but excuse me. What I'm This is what I was talking about, the way that things are, it seems right now. And analyzing the way things are. And I had to slow down bankrupt Castile Construction, because it was either bankrupt Trevor Castile go dead, or bankrupt the company goes dead, right? So obviously I picked myself. That's why I'm still here. Um, so I had to analyze my environment to be able to analyze myself as well, right? Like they go together. So he's got like the Atom 1 and Atom 2. And I'm not going to get into Atom 1 and Atom 2 right now and all of that. But essentially what it is Atom 2 is the external. And when I'm talking about internal and digging down internally and really depth, there is you're either going to focus internally or you're going to focus external. And it's more materialistic if it's external. And I know we're talking RCMP statement that we're missing, but just going with the heart. Okay.
Here we
So,
are.
but I love this shit. I love this shit, and you could hear more pain and suffering from Trev, but I love to offer what I love to learn. And so here it is that We live in a culture that nurtures Adam 1, the external Adam. So I got it backwards, sorry. So we live in a culture that nurtures Adam 1, the external Adam, so the outside world, and neglects Adam 2, the inner world. Okay? We live in a society that encourages us to think about how to have a great career, but leaves many of us inarticulate about how to cultivate the inner life. The competition to succeed with and win admiration is so fierce that it becomes all consuming. We could see that online all over the damn place. The consumer marketplace encourages us to live by utilitarian calculus to satisfy our desires and lose sight of the moral stakes involved in everyday decisions. To satisfy our desires and lose sight of the moral stakes involved in everyday decisions. You don't customize morals. If you don't like a moral, you change it. That's not how it works. Where are our morals these days? That's what he's speaking to. The noise of fast and shallow communications, the noise of fast and shallow communications, what I just finished talking about. Shallow communications. You understanding where we're going now? Makes it harder to hear the quieter sounds that emanate from the depths, from the inner us, soul. We live in a culture that teaches us to promote and advertise ourselves to master the skills required for success, but that gives little encouragement to humility, to sympathy, and honest self confrontation, which are necessary for building character.
Tell us why you're telling us this.
Well, formula is pretty simple just after reading that passage. I think it's we're losing our morals, we're losing character, we're losing the basis of to be humanity, to be a kind human being, and that's what it speaks to. It speaks to humility, it speaks to morals, it speaks to character, integrity, all these types of things. So the further away we move from that as a human being, that we're not balanced with that. Those are our grounding rods. So the further that we move away from that as humanity or human beings, the more chaos, the more murkiness, the more conflict.
And so, yes. And so, what is the action, if you will, or what is the adjustment that you've made for you as a result of hearing this and knowing this?
When I blend that with the org chart, when I blend that with the org chart and I go, oh, my soul is president. My spirit is president. General manager is the heart, points me in the right direction. Mind is the project manager and stuff like that. What I just finished reading is not what is not the soul in charge, is not the heart in charge. It's the mind. It's the project manager. And it stems from greed. It stems from envy, things like that.
So, if you were to give me an invitation, Trev,
Mm.
what are you inviting me to do?
I I think what it is a call to start fighting for what I think a lot of us believe is right, but it's so messy out there. It's hard to know where to start, and it's also scary to start because there's so much mess out there, and it's scary to even get, possibly attacked for standing up for what's right. Um, but it's you're basically, what you're doing is you're doing the suffering plus courage equals resiliency formula by doing it. You're taking the courageous step in order to build the resilience, and the courageous step is to attack the suffering, but to do it with love.
And as I receive all that you've offered in the last few minutes, what I'm
Mm,
hearing you say is lead with your heart, lead with your soul, like get your org chart
mhm,
in order and
mhm.
know that that's going to be messy. But that messy is the suffering of living with kick-ass love. And by putting my heart first, soul first, getting my org chart in right order, that resilience is the outcome of doing that. That's how I'm receiving what you said.
Yes, yes. And Tina, I think what really matters here too is those self-awareness factors. And I think that the daily self-awareness factors that I have, because it's also overlapping those in there because I use them every day. And so what those are at a high level right now, because I don't have them in front of me. But what those are is I'm constantly monitoring. I think the big one here for what we're talking about is environment. And so I'll talk about that one last. But the we've already talked about the communication one. So I have to monitor myself because I'm re-regulating myself from all the damage that he did, right? So it is a fight. I talk out loud to myself sometimes to retrain myself because I've had it this way for the last 42 years and I'm trying to change the bad programming in me. What am I sending to myself internally? Is it positive or negative for communications? And what am I sending externally to people? Is it positive or negative? And I'm concentrating that it stays positive, stays constructive. Yes, you can put your foot down sometimes, but put your foot down thoughtfully. Do it lovingly with kick ass, with the love too. But, so it's monitoring communications externally and internally, and are they positive or negative? There's also focus. Am I staying focused? Am I staying on track of what I'm doing? And if I start getting diverted or distracted, it's like, Trev, remove the distractions, stay focused, keep going after the goal here that I've set for myself. Okay. So there's focus. There's also calm. Am I remaining calm? Do I need to go for a little walk? I won't get in the phone thing again. Do I need to go for a little walk? Or do I need to just stop and take a breath? Or do I just need to play some instrumental music and chill out for 5 minutes, have a bite to eat? Because maybe that's what it is. I'm hungry and I forgot to eat, like whatever it may be. Okay. So am I staying calm, which is going to feed the focus better? Okay. And, there's love in there as well in my daily self awareness factors. And there's also humility. Am I trying to go I, or am I going we? Because we're a team on this planet. You don't win the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl by being an individual. So that's kind of what I'm speaking to. So then I'll jump back to the last one, which I said is the important one I want to focus on, which was environment.
Mm.
Am I off to Hogwarts Castle here, or where the hell am I going? You know what I mean? And then once I can actually see my environment, understand the shit that I'm sitting in and the shit that I've caused, now I can, and I'm assessing it properly. Now I can start and pick and choose what I'm going to dump, what I'm going to have to work with, what I'm going to work towards outside of the shit. And then I'm assessing my environment inside as well. And then, so that's, I think that the biggest thing is actually slowing shit down, as I said many times, remove the distractions, set up a structure within our lives, and I speak for myself here, but set up a structure within our lives. And we need structure. We need discipline. It helps. Not that I'm super disciplined, because I'm not, and people know it that know me. That's a creative part. And creativeness is actually in chaos. I didn't know that before, but it is. It's just that needed to be balanced too. I didn't have a good balance with it. But set up a structure where you can have calm within your day, pieces of calm.
Got it.
What's your heart want? What is the ultimate goal? What's your desire? What is your goal for yourself personally and professionally? Are you happy where you're at? Well, then why are you not happy? Dig down to the root cause. So if we had a safety incident at work, like construction,
Mhm.
and there was an accident in the field, God forbid, then what happens? Our safety officer went out immediately. Then there's talks with the project manager. They're also involved. Then the journeyman, the lead on the site, is involved. Now there's going to be interviews with each person. Now you're taking that information in collectively. Meanwhile, you shut down the site, or you've limited the site to whatever it is around this, and you've protected everybody at the site, so that incident temporarily is never going to happen again, as well as work can continue where it can, right? And then meanwhile, you're conducting your investigation internally to be able to drill down to the root cause. So what I'm saying is that we're doing this formula externally all the time, all over the place, in different areas, even with their own companies, drilling right down with financial audits. There's a lot of similarities to the financial world with terms that can be applied internally. When you listen to Warren Buffett or Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, all this kind of stuff, Kevin O'Leary speaks about the ratio, and the ratio of noise versus signal. And Kevin O'Leary is doing what, $1 billion AI project in Alberta right now or something. He's on Shark Tank, was on Dragon's Den. And he talks about the ratio of signal versus noise. And he said, for success, it should be something like 80% signal and 20% noise. Well, wow, that's a pretty good formula for life, isn't it? So how much noise do we have in our lives compared to signal to be successful? And when you listen to Warren Buffett, the same thing. A lot of financial terms make sense for us internally, you know, to profitability and to success and to better margins.
Well, we're off on a tangent that's rooted
Yeah.
in where we were, and it's great stuff. Like this is I don't know if it's the next book, but it's one of the it's in the trio that you've got inside of you, the business piece. Where business and healing intersect, the journey of healing,
Mm.
the journey of business, where these two intersect. You've just given us a sneak peek into a bit of that.
Mm. Which
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So we're
So,
kind of at around the end, but we're at like we're moving into the last section, I think, of this conversation today. We've been here for about 50 minutes. So
oh
let's
wow.
give us another, how would you want to go? You've given us these beautiful 5 reflection points,
Mm.
and ways of being. Where would you like to go? How would you like, yeah, how do you want to seal
Well,
this up? Yours, my friend, is the journey of the wounded healer.
to
And
the
as
warrior.
to the warrior, the wounded warrior. Let's say that. Yours is
Yeah.
the journey of the wounded warrior. And as
Yeah.
you take care of you, we take care of us. So I know there's a big part of you that really wants to take care of us by showing us this and showing us that. And that's beautiful. And there's lots of information there. And please make no mistake, though, as you continue on your healing journey, we heal too.
Yeah. the battle scars are there. So like when it's time to you know go to war with love leading the way. You know, kick some ass.
Those are words to close on. Go to war with love leading the way.
Absolutely, we're attacking. We're attacking negativity, but we're going to do it in a thoughtful, loving way.
Those who have walked through the different, the various levels of hell that is this experience, there is a loving warrior that gets to the other side. So you won me over on the word warrior. Okay, you win.
Good. Oh yeah. Well, it's like those gladiator movies and stuff like that, right? It's the battle scars, man. And that's exactly the formula of suffering plus courage equals resilience. Well, you get resilience from the battle scars, from falling off the bike and getting back on. So that's all we're talking about here. So
And
I mean,
loving
hell,
yourself along the way. And loving
yeah. Well, you're
yourself.
loving yourself enough to get on the bike. It's what a blessing. So thankful, and to you, my friends out there, and to you, Tina.
Thank you for joining us for Kick-Ass Love. Both Trev and I are hoping you're leaving with your own warrior mindset. Thanks for hanging in as we shared some bits on self-awareness practices and just some things that you can take into your life to make every day a day that's kick-ass and full of love. Join us next time for episode 6 when we take a few steps further in to Trev's impact statement. And this, well, it's not just a podcast. It's a build site. It's a blueprint. It's a fire pit where we tell the truth and we don't look away. And it's a living example of what it looks like to move forward using the scars of trauma as tools for healing. Take good care of yourself and keep living with some kick-ass love.